So you're probably watching this video, clicked on the thumbnail, and you think, Matt, why are you gaslighting me? Why are you clickbaiting me into watching this? And I understand your concern. So what I want to say is, if you have got Bitcoin, right, and you're thinking, I figured out the proven way in investing, maybe not the whole of investing, but in crypto to long-term preserve wealth and, grow it over a substantial period of time. Maybe not exactly year after year. We know that Bitcoin doesn't always have a profitable calendar year, but over the long term, it does. So you may be thinking, I figured out all I have to do is roll profits, roll anything I have into Bitcoin, and then long term, it's just going to play out nice and easy for me, and that's it. You would think so, yeah. So obviously you solve the first issue, which is, the long-term investment, but it doesn't solve a couple of other things. Now, how that doesn't work, I'm going to tell you. If you look at stocks and shares, for example, let's just say you look at stocks and shares ISA in the UK. So with that, and it could be similar for Americans or whatever with, like a 401k or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But you would accumulate some shares, and then at any point during the phase of owning them, you can kind of get paid dividends, or you can kind of switch from accumulation shares to high dividend shares. Tax-free in a tax-free ISA in the UK. So you are now getting an ROI back monthly, or whenever you want to take them, from your investment. Now, the issue with Bitcoin then is that you have to sell some of it partially or more of it to realize that value, in the real world. All right, we understand that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, but you're constantly having to realize that value by selling into the fiat currency and then spend it. So the issue comes in when you sell it, right? And the issue comes is that if you've got this appreciating asset on one side that keeps appreciating and you keep selling it, 1 year after you sell it, it's worth more. 2 years after you sell it, it's worth more, etc., etc. That is the issue that you're going to run into. So the happy medium with this is a couple of options. Option one is, it depends on your Bitcoin stack as well. If you've got a large Bitcoin stack, you can sell a portion, not sell a portion. You can lock up a portion and you can take a loan, a stablecoin loan, and then use that to accumulate funds with. Or even simpler than that, every so many years, take a loan against it, take the money out, spend it, and because your appreciating asset goes up and up, the LTV changes each time, so you don't have to kind of pay it back. You just use that appreciating asset to keep loaning against. Just like people, the way they have property, they keep loaning against it because the value is going to go up long term. People can do that with Bitcoin. However, a better plan would be, what about that Bitcoin, taking a loan against it and using it in appreciating it, not appreciating it, but getting yield against it monthly. Every single month, getting an ROI back on your crypto. In this case, it would be like a stable coin in liquidity pools and earning monthly income from that. So effectively, that Bitcoin you've got is effectively paying you monthly. And the money you're getting back in the liquidity pools monthly far outweighs what you have to pay back. Your asset goes up and it doesn't even matter. Now, the other thing you can tie into that is maybe you haven't got that big Bitcoin stack to actually do that yet. So that means you would start just doing the first one, which would be liquidity pools, earning on your crypto with your altcoins. They haven't done anything, put them to work, earn that monthly income, put it towards Bitcoin. Then you start that stack up. You start building the asset, the long-term asset, which is the BTC. Once it gets to a certain level, get the loan, feed it back into liquidity pools. Your monthly income grows because your DeFi portfolio grows, and everything feeds the system. Everything feeds the little flywheel that we talk about, which is the liquidity pools, feeding the Bitcoin portfolio, feeding the loans, feeding that. And it's a system that just keeps going and going and going. And it works in essence because you're relying on the BTC as the long-term asset. Now people say, oh, well, what about the failure in this? What if Bitcoin doesn't do well? As a rule, really, if Bitcoin doesn't do well, the market doesn't do well. So that means that your alternative, which would have been to buy XYZ or hold XYZ altcoin, doesn't really help because that wouldn't do well anyway. So that's the thing. Just holding your Bitcoin, doing nothing, seems like a good idea because you're holding the largest asset. But because effectively you cannot earn off it or realize any gains off it without selling it, but then it goes up anyway, is the issue. That is the main issue. Having BTC and not being able to extract any value out of it is like having a second property that just sits there. You know, it's like me buying a second property but never renting it out. It's just there. I know it's going up in price, but I know if I sell it, it could be higher 5 years later. So why would I sell it? But I want cash. I want to get some income off it now, but I can't because I can't rent it out. That is the exact same scenario that you will face with holding Bitcoin. Yes, it is the best, in my opinion, long-term asset in crypto, but that is the main scenario I feel the BTC maxes will run into if they, and I'm not saying you have to put everything in DeFi or whatever, but if they solely just use BTC for holding and nothing else, because I guarantee that if it's holding and nothing else, when you sell it or sell a portion of it, 5 years time later, you'll be thinking, you know what, this is XYZ higher than it was before. Maybe I should have held on to it. That is the thing. That is the thing. Hope you enjoy my content anyway. If you do, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon.